root of it all is that everything relies on it, but nothing relies on them losing. There's no pressure on them to lose, but there's also no pressure on them really to win. So when they do win, it looks all the more satisfying.
Well, we're about to see how satisfying they look to watch as a whole in-game. Anubis, our first stop in the best of 2. And as we already said, it's kind of a mixed bag of what to expect. Team Mike played this map. You already put it on the table. But what does this squad still look like with the new addition of Snakes? Well, we're about to find out. And we're about to find out what this defense consists of, because there is a full 5-man rush going into a vacant bomb site.
Home, they're going to be pretty quick onto the flank, though. This is going to be a nice walk through the back lines. A player setting up utility. Nifty should get this kill 100 times out of 100. It is going to be that first one tapped down. Flom let loose. A piece of utility dropped, and that could mean a lot left over onto the retake as Nifty continues to fly forward. Not so far behind as the rest, and Nate has a lot on his plate. Can't eat. And it's Truck Lover now to try and run them through as they 1-2, nothing more. DJ swings back in for a double. I'm trying to give you a throw, but there's just no break between the action. Freakazoid in the clutch.
And he won't even come close. danss just spaces in with Snakes. And one thing that I didn't entirely expect is perfect cohesion between these two moving back in from CT spawn. Who cares about a throw? That was a just steamroll from Team Might. Look, I loved that. It was almost understanding of what their massive gap was, and obviously it's what you want when you leave a bomb site that wide open. And I kind of saw a world where Team Mythic didn't get a really good opportunity there, or I'm sorry, where Team Might didn't, because Mythic got the utility off. Yeah, Flom falls in the flank, but it's not a big deal. Like, they throw in the smoke, they throw in the flash, everybody gets in, but one after another, it kind of feels like there isn't really a setup for Mythic. There isn't really a crossfire going in until it's far too late. It relies a lot on the individuals to win in that 4-on-5, and when it doesn't, they get annihilated.
Talk about being proactive instead of reactive, though, from them. It's almost reminiscent of how you would walk up long on overpass on a pistol round to get that early information.
Yep.
They continue to walk it through, and once they're being given that space, there's no real reason to stop at any point in time. You have the bodies, you have the information, things are looking pretty clear, and even so, the coast is very much not clear over at A on the initial fight, as danss will take a little bit of damage, but will take a life along with it. Truck Lover no longer in the equation and leaving Team Mythic now with still a full set of utility on Hate, an AK-47 and a Glil into the hands of the Abadir brothers. We're going to see whether or not it'll come to matter, though, as they are in familiar territory. We're looking towards A again. The gun retrieved. Hate's got one of his own now. Potentially some legs to this round if they can pop it out well enough, early enough.
But they'll need to win some pretty hefty trades. Right now, if you go into A, go 2 for 2, there's still a third player in there, so it's not like that's going to get you very far. And they don't have a smoke to cut off these rotations. DJ is getting an open and honest-to-God 1v1 undistracted on Flom, who wins it in stride. Still, Nifty danss holds down the actual site, the meat of the bone around. And now it's just Cooper and Flom trying to salvage what's already a desolate situation. Cooper, half HP. And there is still an opportunity arising here. Topping the bomb, Flom gets another, and this Mac 10 is putting in the work. Cooper, this is more than a winnable opportunity. This is a clutch alert potential. Cooper, only thing stopping him from isolating a 1v1 right now is a smoke in short, and I think that's what he's waiting for. No. Hopes that a kill is given to him, and when it's not, Nifty, he's just going to run back in. Bomb planted, so you've at least got a little bonus cash to play with, but it's still Mythic, or not Mythic, Might going up 2-0.
I'll take that. Defuse. They'll get away with an AK upgrade. 3 bodies lost is going to be a little bit awkward for the time to come, but at the very least, they're the option now, Mythic, to try and break that economy even further. That extra $800 per player does go an extremely long way, especially having taken as many players down along with you as you could. Courtesy of that Mac 10 at the end of the round, activating finally. Flom on a maneuver right back around to mid, knowing that A main might not have been the best course of action, and he could have caught one off guard. Does. It's a little bit of an added bonus for it. Finds himself with the same gun into the following, but a reverse nade sent either way. CT's eating a majority of the damage from the exchange, though, and danss once again testing the waters, literally, will be put down by Truck Lover this time around.
It's finally Team Mythic starting with a good opener. That's something that have come few and far between in the few rounds we've seen. But it's not just that. It's space around the map. Might have kind of loosened their grip for a majority of it. And yeah, they've got control of the very basic angles, but what they don't have is connector, and that leaves a massive hole in this defense. And Might are just going to stack up one of these sites. Right now, this is looking like it's going to work as seconds tick on, and that tick rate goes in the favor of Might. I don't really see much of a world where Mythic are going to pave their way into a one round, walking in against every single CT there is. Utility, weaponry, man, this one-man advantage may mean absolutely nothing as the crossfires come out to play, or maybe not. It is flawless. A 1v5 for Scar, wondering, with 4 players here, how has this gone so catastrophically wrong? Well, this is how, when you've got 3 players staring down your barrel, feels impossible to find a clutch in the heat of the moment, so he's just going to back away with his one lonely rifle, but even that's no guarantee.
There have been some growing pains there from Might, to be honest with you. It looked like it was a little bit panicked from each of these players. Communication not quite there as to who's holding what and where they could be walking out from, as, yeah, you said it, there's the entirety, or at least the majority of the CT side squad on that side of the map. All of which, by the end of that, are looking towards E-Box, and that's not going to be what you need when they're starting to pop out through B main just the same. Shot on the side of the head, or a couple of the teammates left. The Snakes, I think, was the one to turn his attention. As none of the kills come through with 3 players holding on to that same angle, you have to wonder maybe it's a little bit of a flaw in the game plan of the setup as to what looked like a really nice hold from the back pillar and the deep side CT cubby. The third player rotating in kind of just complicates things a little bit for the rest.
Yeah. But this whole chain of events all really starts with one of the 3 certainties of life. I mean, talk about them, death axes and Truck Lover hitting insane shots to open up rounds. That's kind of what we saw. I mean, of all guns to find that entry, it's not Truck Lover who I'm expecting, but that's exactly why it works. Not necessarily preying on his downfall, but not exactly expecting the most incredible of shots to be hit. It's really what fuels them. But they're playing this one really close to the vest, Team Mythic. They've been really loose this game with the way they've played a lot of these crossfires. They've kind of given a lot of opportunities for openers. This isn't going to be one of those rounds. Just either baiting CTs into you or chipping them away until the inevitable site take comes in and you got 3 players on 1 HP. Well, danss can't get anything back through that smoke. And Mythic have just earned another pawn on the board.
Just USPs really to deal with Truck Lover, not really making that one look the cleanest, and they will collect onto the kill. No gun to be pulled from it, though. It's too far a ways away. Is Hayden now trying to crack open mid, will be met with a player on the left or right. Either side, he'll be tested by a deagle, but as Freakazoid continues to walk it through A main, he's just waiting for that pinch to finally commence, and once it does, it's all the more easy now as Snakes is left to his own, now cut off from the actual site, having fallen towards beach. This 5-7 close range potency is going to be ever felt if they continue to walk their way up towards heaven, but I don't think that they will, and they should have an awareness of this, and Flom holds steady as ever. Might even get actually a little bit active onto this one if he wants to try and hunt it down. No real reason to, as long as they keep these AKs up. That's going to be priority numero uno. Keeping them out of the hands of CTs more than anything else.
Yeah. I was going to say, I don't really see a world where... No, never mind. All right.
All 3 of them, you're about to say you don't see where they hunt.
I mean, I thought they were going to exit through A main, and they didn't. So I guess that makes a little more sense if that was their exit route, but...
Hey.
I didn't see a world where one person just gets a little over eager to find that last pick. There's not really a reason to, but all's well that ends well. Still 3 up for Mythic, and Might's early lead lives and dies at just that, an early one, and now they're going to have to fight for it a little bit further, but it won't be here. So, if they want to keep Mythic in a competitive race, they're going to have to step back up here soon.
Another round that they'll have next to nothing. Cooper going to be elated at the fact that they have no head armor on any of them, and they are all within his proximity. He could probably get a couple of the nice kills here with Freakazoid to help out. Up at bat first, though, walking down through dark. It's going to be right below him that Nifty is. Wait, did they spot him? They didn't. They walked right past. Neither of these players know what's happening.
My God!
Line up. Here's 1, 2, and the third. Helped out by Cooper, but finished off by the AK. Freakazoid, he might get the kills, but the money avoided from the MAC-10. Maybe that'll be a little bit of an issue to come, potentially, but I'd much rather have all of my players still standing if I could choose.
I would say that is a bit of a saving grace. honestly, right? You don't really want the money of the T side to be flourishing this early on. And there is still the added element that Cooper doesn't have an op. So if he wants to go for the upgrade right now, which I don't think he will, not much argument to be made for it, then he'd be back to pretty much nothing. And that can be said for a lot of different players because they don't get that 4K on the Mac 10, which would have made their finances just so much better. Think about Cooper, what he has now. Add, what, $2,400 to that? Feels like it's a little otherworldly, but now you've got Nifty on the op, and maybe all is well for Might. It's only going to be time to tell.
Yeah, he was top scoring with the rifle rounds that they had up against the weaker buys from Mythic. Obviously, his pistol round was solid, finding a double now with the AWP. He's gotten a little bit warmed up in terms of the aim training. Kind of just take it as he pleases now. Take these fights at his own rate. Snakes is dangerously close to this SMG, and as Cooper does look to kind of clear it, he will spot him before the flash pops.
Oh my!
Piece of utility? That was almost terrible for him, but it'll eventually be him traded regardless. Scar looking to make his way through this smoke and be maybe a nuisance, but if he does that, Freakazoid will be ready and waiting for him on the other side.
Oh my god! Wait, oh, the light!
Kill, the one bullet will be the difference maker, and Scar now left
what?
With a molly in his hand.
What a brazen play to make on 20 HP from Scar. That was almost a massive mistake in general. Fact is, I think Freakazoid knew he was there because of the light or something. It just felt too aware of the situation in the middle of nowhere. But still leaves Mythic in the hole, down by one man. Even though Scar is low, he's probably not going to be attacked again, considering the shape of this movement. It looks to go into A, and this is exactly where Nifty resides. He and DJ alike, both in the rats of heaven. As a shot rattles off and the bomb's stuck in long, Nifty turns his attention back and hates stuck in turmoil. How does he get into this site? Truck Lover's not going to be into this, or maybe he will. If they go back to pull out utility, they offer up the bomb site on a silver platter, and I think it's because of the raw numbers advantage they have. There's not a lot of fear in the hearts of them right now. Truck Lover, nothing done. Blank activates. 8 to 1 on 4, and this one's going absolutely nowhere.
I thought Nifty shot through the pillar for a second there. That would have been stupid. I didn't even... My brain knew that that wasn't possible, but even still, I was in disbelief. I guess I've seen him do crazier things, but... Well managed by Scar to find even a third by the end of that round. And as you said, he really made quite the outrageous play to continue to walk through that smoke and fight Freakazoid, who had already taken him down into the red, and Freakazoid takes a Molotov, waiting for the smoke to just about dissipate, but he and Snakes effectively making the same wrong decision 2 times, and pulling that utility, knowing there's a possibility of there to be a reaction. Luckily for Snakes, though, his is met with him finding not only a pick, but them winning out the round to follow, as his AWP takes residence up in E-Box. He will not be smoked, at least not onto the peak across into Bridge, as they have not yet made their way over. Will they? They walk into the Lion's Den. Cooper versus Nifty could be quite sad to watch for this game, as the brothers are seen chest bumping on the top side of the stairs. Eventually they will bait out the shot, now making themselves aware of where Nifty is positioned.
It's so funny because I feel like both of them were trying to do the same thing with different ways of doing it. I'm pretty sure Cooper was trying to jump across and Freakazoid was trying to jump up. Both with the idea of baiting out the off shot. That's just humor. This seems a little funny. Truck Lover running straight through a smoke. Pretty much untradeable. Cooper goes in, diving. Hopefully, it was desperation trying to pull it back. And instead, it's them down in a 5-on-3. Once again, a man deficit. And danss hasn't gone anywhere. How could you ever expect this again? 20 HP. Why is that the magic number for Might right now?
They've got a 2-man advantage, and I guess he just wants the information, knowing he's got a player quick onto the rotate, and the player's still inside of the A-bomb site, so it's calculated, I'd say. I don't really think that there's anything really wrong with that play. Certainly takes a certain kind of player in order to make it, and that player is danss. Gets away with the kill, thanks to their overwhelming competence, and Snakes finishes off this round now with them back into the lead that had been taken so rudely from them a few moments ago. The T's having built up a serious savings account to have bought back into this round, though. We're still not out of options. They can still fight back, still give Might a run for their money, and now would be the time to do it, because Might can continue to steamroll their own cash fund even further and further beyond as time goes on, as they have that AWP. That's an investment they might not have to make if they can save it. 2 players already in that $3,000 mark. This is high time for half number 1.
Oh, it's high time to put 91 damage on Freakazoid without him even seeing a player. This has gotta suck, man. But look at Truck Lover, ready and waiting for the peak of danss, and again to give over an opener. Trade comes in, but it still seems that this is Smite favored with the early damage incurred. They don't know about it, but they will soon. One well-placed Molly, one well-placed HE. Oh, there's the Habineer brothers we talked about earlier. This time, brothers in arms in life and in death. Cooper, yeah, he'll join him. It's a good rock-solid B defense out of Scar, and Snake's right behind him.
He never really stood a chance to be able to get into that site. Not in that state of the game, as now he's left alone as the player, awaiting activation time, as everyone else was really who he was relying on in order to be given that space, in order to make a maneuver, in order to make a call. And his audible now in a 1v4 is to try and make his way back towards A. The bomb not in his hands, but a nice kill, not losing any HP for it. Now, having to isolate a little bit more than even that with only 30 seconds to do so. Knowing that there's one player, at least over towards the A site, as typically placed, is djay. Snakes has made his way all the way back in and around, and Nifty's walked it up with the op. He's going to peek him soon enough. Now, position made known. Gun lost. Hold on now. Because the other two aren't all that far, but as his back is turned, it'll be hard in order to take a 1v1 when you don't see your opponent 5 rounds. Snakes once again the closer, and once again, it feels like this E-box control is starting to go awry for Mythic whenever they try and obtain it.
Yeah, it's weird because it almost feels like both of these rounds have kind of been dictated by who gets E-box control early on, who gets canals early on, because we've seen Might take the fight to them, and usually it works well, but we've also seen Mythic, when they have that space, just free of occupancy. So, timeout called. How do they negate that? How do they make it more of something that's in their control? Because one thing that this doesn't entirely feel like is the rounds, it almost feels like when Mythic are winning, it's because it's some vast mistake by Might. And then that's not necessarily to discredit them, but it almost feels like Mythic are playing Might's game.
Yeah, I think now if they do want to take that E-box control, it's just kind of been a learning curve. I mean, they fought into it before where there were no players, and then there was utility and counteraction. They played in there where there is a fight to be taken initially, and then now just recently you'll see that it's retaken with a flashbang instead of a smoke or bodies already placed up into it. So now Mythic kind of just need to say to themselves, okay, if we want to take E-box, we have to take it initially, and then we have to be ready to retake it by playing outside of it, expecting the CTs to make some sort of a reactive maneuver to reclaim their lost ground, and that makes a lot of sense, but that is the best way to do it now, as they've been given each and every scenario to play up against in such a sticky round now where they only have pistols. Immediately Freakazoid is put into the dirt and he hasn't even seen anyone.
Bad. This is looking real bad. The bomb, I don't even know if it'll get into the site at this rate. Dropped in. Somehow they get through, but it's not really going to progress much further. Maybe it will. Wow, very hands-off from Might. And yeah, it's partially because of how isolated they are, and they don't want to let this round become more than just a measly bomb plant, but it's extra cash that Mythic could certainly use to try and stick it down their throats, depending on how much damage they incur in this round, which is nothing more. No more than just a mere bomb plant, I guess, but is that a win for Team Mythic? I'm not sure. I mean, they call a timeout. It's about a half buy. You get a bomb plant. You get a kill. I mean, you set yourselves up for another investment, but is that what you were looking for out of that?
I'd say so. I don't really think you go into that round looking for the win outright. I think that there was too fast of a pace, and no head armor, really just both of those things in tandem. That's a spell for we need a bomb plant, in my opinion. Minimal utility invested on top of that. They had one player who was able to pull out an AK-47 and buy the head armor, so that was going to be your ace in the hole if you were going to be able to swing out a round win. So I think that was I'd call that a success personally, but a success over a failure at the very least, because right now, like you said, they have set themselves up to have everything that they need into this round, sub the AWP, which really hasn't been doing all too much for them, and Cooper a proficient rifler in his own regard. probably one of his best traits is the ability to go between the off and the AK so seamlessly.
Yeah, that hybrid ability. It's such an underrated thing nowadays.
Oh yeah.
But one thing that doesn't really feel like we've seen much out of this game is any of either. I was a little worried there for a second. I thought I heard like a quick tick of the chat. Then I saw Cooper running away. It was just, weird timing. But again, this is kind of Might in control. Even though you've got some distance in mid, you've burned out a lot of Mythic's utility to start. And this is a full investment with a minute off the clock, with Might still fielding a lot of space comfortably around the board. But they are isolated, and that's what's important. I don't know how Mythic used that isolation, especially with Nifty in the wings of short right now. They flash up. Nobody takes space just yet. Cooper drops another smoke, and again, utilities few and far between. Oh, good angle for Nifty inside of the smoke, Flom. Blindsided by it, but it's a quick rotation to the B site where only 2 players are here to defend.
Again, 8 needs them to have a little bit of success in order to be able to get.
Oh my
and
God!
as they're unable to get close enough to Snakes in order to train them, they'll be burnt out. But it won't matter because everybody else on the team will have fallen by that point. Freak is our last one left standing. Bomb in his hands, but 18 seconds. Molotov on a default spawn. There's nothing that he can do. They're gonna swarm him from left, right, and center all the way across the bomb site. They will scope him out, and there is no chance for them to be able to get anything done without any success from E-Box. A 7th round, half won, and the T side of Anubis kind of falling behind now, Anthran.
Dude, this is insane. Did you see that hold from Snakes? That was crazy.
Yeah.
The first one, like, it makes sense, right? You've got the crossfire pretty much set up so the guy on shelf gets the first pick, sure. But the fact is, he is taking a 1-on-2 in a Molotov and still comes away with an extra kill and a half. Like, that is ridiculous. It feels like Mythic did everything right there control-wise. They took E-Box, they split them apart. They kept only 2 players at B, but the presence was overwhelming, and now it's players aimlessly sprinting into offs, rifles, and utility, oh my. Freakazoid finally edges back with a kill of his own, but they have gone with this AAA defense for quite some time, and it's worked wonders, oh my lord. I feel like you and I both expected that kill to have come from DJ, but no. Regardless, an 8th round for Might in the blink of an eye, and Team Mythic are not looking pretty.
Double-digit kills for Nifty now, who's kind of been pretty consistent. Let me rephrase, actually. Not consistent, more so just impactful in the rounds that he's getting these kills. He hasn't really been finding, like, his 1, and then his 1, and then his 1. No, it's usually, like, 2 or 3 kills every time he finds himself appearing on the board. And that's definitely something you kind of want to see from your in-game leader and Opera, I will say. It's not really his job in order to be finding his 1 every round on a map like Anubis, where the AWP being tested isn't very consistent in itself. So, choosing where to place yourself is going to be the biggest determining factor as to where you're going to be able to make something happen. And speaking of making something happen, Snakes finds his, spam through smoke, and Freakazoid looking to double back through it on his own, maybe find a kill with them, hands down, Snakes back, not tucked in, and Scar needing to refrag does. Another would be massive, the head absolutely torn off the shoulders of Cooper, and already 2v3 with the post plan. If they can be able to punch the digits in without losing a life, they can successfully so. The best chance they have had in quite some time. But Nifty with another, and DJ falling through the smoke, phasing in, and Hate knows where Nifty was placed a moment ago. This is going to be a massive clutch from the captain versus the youngest gun this team has, as far as I'm concerned, in Hate. Gun barrel seen the win on the 4th, and that is going to be quite the needed win before we go into the second half.
Well, oh well, Team Mythic, they've at least interrupted the momentum spree of Might, but maybe not for long. It's a very quick-paced pistol, and they're going straight into B.
No time to waste, and Freakazoid's dual Berettas are not going to waste any time between clicks either, spanning down at least a double D's removed from the equation. Flom looking to get a little bit of the action as well involved with his. Both of the sets of dual Berettas getting 1 kill per gun. Gonna be a worthwhile investment, I will say, and Freakazoid at the top side of the board for the server now after that round. It's actually kind of quiet how he's made his way to that point, albeit 3 rounds behind.
One person I'm looking to see more out of this half is Cooper, for sure. Whether it's on the rifle, whether it's on the AWP. Yeah, I agree. You entirely need it, especially with how mobile the AWP can be on this map sometimes. I know it feels, depending on where you place your AWP, because we've seen them play in the Palace area and holding off mid, that it can be static. But I don't know. I feel like you need some mobility on this map, and Cooper might be the player to look for that. But right now, it's fairly static in the way they're playing the round. They're not really going anywhere. They're just taking some basic liberties, stopping them from getting into canals, not allowing mid pushing, but this all could be playing into Might's hands to some extent because they're waiting for utility to be burned, and right now there's not going to be much stopping them from an A rush.
No bomb plan the last round, 1 kill. Mythic have to know that there's really no reason for them to be trying to go for anything too outrageous in terms of the investment. These Glocks firing off now and actually receiving a dink is Freakazoid. I would be a little bit careful about this one.
Don't tell me!
Because that's a kill you can't afford to give up without any damage in exchange, Anthran.
Thing is, the only piece of utility they have left are flashbangs, and okay, this should be round done, right? Yeah, okay. Cooper's got it. Yeah, baby, he's got it.
Get it, Flom.
And Flom's looking to combine for a full house. Nice stuff between the two. And Might, yeah. About the way the cookie crumbles. It was destined for that. And, you know, knowing the play that Freakazoid is, you almost feel like he's going to get a good laugh after something like that.
Yeah.
You almost feel like that's going to help Mythic, right?
Like, peeking me, dude. He's
they're all going to get excited and start laughing after that, right? Like, that's going to be an enlightening moment.
We lose the Glocks. There's so many different things I feel like he could have said on stream.
To a coach!
Yeah.
The manager!
Be that MP9 getting a little bit of the cash flow going. Not stopping their winning ways just yet. AK's up against them to try and peel away a 1. Himself closer to that finish line now on the T side of Anubis. Typically, you'll find it to be at least marginally easier, but with the high-low setup inside of the A site as they go and try, they're going to be really hard-pressed in order to find any of the kills here, as both Cooper and Truck Lover are going to pitch in for there. The smoke onto the floor is not going to extinguish the Molotov entirely, now having to evade. He'll dodge, he'll bob, he'll weave, but a man up, he'll be pretty happy with that situation even still.
I really like Truck Lover's default there. And the awareness to just drop the smoke before they even get them all in. But this is a role reversal where it's now Team Mythic making Might play their game. And what a weird world to be standing in, where you'd think Anubis, the primarily T-sided map, is going to have offensive favoritism, and it's going to be the defenders kind of grasping at straws. And it's the polar opposite right now. And while Might aren't out of this round by any stretch of the imagination, there is still a world where with this one smoke and nobody really holding the site contentiously, they get something going here. But that also assumes that they drop the ball in this 4-on-3. And with such an early warning, I don't know if they will.
Creep and crawl. Nice space to gain without any contact. And Freakazoid with his name, with his molly, is going to be key in stopping them from the version of the bomb site. But as he throws it just that little bit too shallow, it will be extinguished by the smoke. Now, djay needing to find a kill on the backside of the site as the bomb is planted is going to be just as crucial. But as he isn't able to do so, danss responsible for refrag instead, and Nifty, not quick enough onto the trigger, will be met with his maker danss, a clutch that's near impossible.
Well,
actually kind of crashing there, it looked like maybe from danss at the end, but regardless of that, it'll be a 7th round, and Mythic keeping 3 bodies up, upgrades, utility still somewhat into the pockets of these players. It's gonna be a good look for them. Cooper's already doubled his kills from the last half, might I add.
Yeah. I don't know why, but I originally thought before whatever happened, and maybe it was just a tab out or something by accident, because it looks, I'm not seeing him moving. Oh no, okay, he's here. That must have been the craziest wide swing known to man That was otherworldly, man. That was like intergalactic wide swinging right there.
Intergalactic wide swing.
Intergalactic planetary. But he's got the rifle, so obviously they've got faith in his ability. Only to stop him, though, and early plans of lurking isn't really going to work out, so... Change of plans. Where are we going now, boys? So says Mike.
Zoid pulling nades again. Gotta be careful about this. Luckily for him, nobody was on the other side waiting to pop through the smoke before it had faded. He would have been in quite the shot they had. Now, defensive utility from him keeps them there for just that little bit longer. But as they do get closer and closer, Snakes is the one with the util to pin. Into the water now, looking to send them through, I believe. S47 is going to have a multitude of targets once they head in. As time continues to tick, the question marks are going to have to rise for Mythic, not knowing where exactly they're coming from. They're both backing away. They're both giving them now the space to actually get into this bomb site. Should they make their way through this Molotov, they're going to have really nothing but range games to fight for, and the bomb plant should be a given.
And that's a gun they can still use, even though danss doesn't get anywhere with it. This is utility. This is time that can be precious and starting to dwindle. They avoid the flash. Nobody crosses. Still a molly to play with. Second goes high. Molly goes deep. And in come all the fights in the world. A 2-for-1 trade is really going to start to lean the way of Might as it comes down to a 2-on-2. Truck lover Flom hoping to get back in. And now it's just Snakes P50, a man against the world. And right now, it doesn't seem they're so merciful. Nate goes in, but misses the mark. Flom waiting for the peak to come through, and Snakes knows this is a fake. But they say pros don't fake. Apparently, Flom does. I think the timer's run out. Is there enough to get back on? No, I really don't think there is. No, he doesn't. No way. Might with one AK and a dream. They pulled off the unthinkable.
That is massive in terms of money, in terms of damage, in terms of pulling away with a round that they had no right in being able to come away with. The two flashbangs are going to be what set them up to be able to just pressure the CTs backwards at spawn, and Cooper taking the shot, not able to reface when Freakazoid does in the same timing. Both of them being put down on the reface with the Molotov, keeping them at bay. It's absolutely perfect in the mid to late round for Might, and Mythic maybe a little bit more to be desired from the hold itself, as they're playing a little bit scared. They're playing off of the site with both of their players by that point in time, and that's something that won't go your way, and you don't have anybody holding on to B main. You don't have anybody actively holding on towards E-Box. That Molotov, it's not a wall. They can go through it. The time that it did Plume, they were already into the site and taking minimal damage, and Might are going to be so happy with themselves coming away with such a huge win.
And I kind of want to say, that's the second time an opportunity was given to Might off of the approach that Mythic have taken into these bomb site holds in the late round. I have loved their setups at A, but B, obviously it's going to be a little harder to maintain when you've only got two players there in comparison to a site like A. But there's a big difference, right? I mean, like, instead of playing maybe like a more reserved angle in Palace holding A main, or B main, sorry, these sites still confuse me, I don't know why, but they're playing in like CT spawn and such. It's so far away that one smoke, they're completely misguided from it. They can't have any say in what the defense is going to look like or what the site is going to look like in 10 seconds. And I think that's a big deal. Might have now really taken them by the horns for it. And you got to remember, they only had one rifle in that round. Snakes won that round with an E250 in a 1-on-2 on 20 HP.
One thing that's getting kind of concerning to me is how consistently Freakazoid plays E-Box the same way. I mentioned just the last round, actually, that there were players on the other side of that smoke waiting to pop through with a flashbang. Freakazoid would be entirely susceptible to that, and so many rounds that could be the case. He is still playing on the other side of it with little fall away, little tradability, and the utility might be one thing to be able to deny vision, but denying the fights is not going to be the reality of it. And the reality of the round as it stands is that Cooper needs to find a shot, and through his teammate, I believe, Nifty will find Cooper. If not through his teammate through the wall, but the reaction is there nonetheless.
And that's also wrote, really. There's two players still in mid to ensure that they can't get back in through short. I love the game plan here for Might. I love the way they play out this round. And now Freakazoid, Flom, they both got to somehow manifest a 2-on-4. No DJ still here, so maybe more to the story with now their entire mid approach gone. Nifty and danss have to step up a little further, and right now there's only the Opper in the sight. Flom, he's kind of crept beyond his gaze. While a shot is taken, nobody's taken with it, so even though the time's dwindling thin, that Molly's gonna burn at his toes. They don't even have to fight for this pick. It's a 1-on-2, and danss has everything to do. Flom, back-to-back attempts in the 1-on-1. They know he's not sticking it still. It's just taps back and forth, danss. It is a mastermind game, and he'll come away the victor again. Flom falls short, and Mythic give away double digits.
That is scary as it gets. Nifty lines up the shot onto Freakazoid at camera, doesn't pull the trigger. Quick switches, just that little bit too quick. Could have costed them because danss, honestly, playing with fire just the same. Tap onto the bomb from Flom, has a kit, and danss is instantly swinging back and forth, no delay between the peaks, and obviously, it is going to be something that catches your opponent off guard a little bit, but Flom is shooting. Flom is actively firing shots down range, and if even one stray had connected, danss would have been in for a world of hurt, and that would have been instantly 9-8. Luckily for them, that isn't going to be the case. Just off the mark, and now just into a round where double digits have not only been secured, but looking to be extended against just pistols and a singular flash, but they're towards B, they're close. Will they pop first? The answer is no.
Oh, they don't clear pizza, so Cooper's P250 is going to be lethal for 2. And even though this round should still be a Mike-favored endeavor, this is a lot closer than you would initially expect. Flum's still alive, too. Behind the smoke, finally meets his maker. Big star on 20 HP to do him in, but after that, chicanery blows over. It's really just Truck Lover grasping at straws. A 1-on-3, P250, no util, no armor. Just playing for exits or getting spotted by djay and getting decapitated. Doesn't really matter. The difference is the same. And might find themselves 2 away from taking the first map.
Everybody kind of floating around the same area in terms of the kill distribution on the side of Might. On the opposite side of things, it's kind of weird to see actually how far ahead Freakazoid is from the rest of the server still, with his teammates not all that far themselves from the rest. So, that 4-round gap, the game feels a lot closer than that might lead you to believe. It's a matter of playing out the rounds with the man advantages you might secure. So far, in almost every instance of it, I feel like Might have been getting their one. Or excuse me, I'm sorry, Mythic have been getting their one. But from then on, it's either an instantaneous trade or a crazy reaction from Might that's just so well read. There's not really a whole lot that you can do, as once again, they've got 3 players in B Mythic. It didn't work out for Might all too well last time around, but you can see there's more of a plan into it for Mythic than anything else.
I like this for Might. With how much it feels like they've been playing their own, Mythic are getting a little uncomfortable. Freakazoid back into con he goes. It feels linear, as we've said before, but that's really where Might are making most of their money. And now, with a hate trade, it's maybe not the worst of situations. Snakes sitting outside A main, they take some space back. Mythic finally a little more proactive, and it could come back to haunt. They've completely neglected B. Again, this has been their opening in the late round. Might, as the time is run thin, as it's drawn close, they've always gone into B, and nobody is here to defend them.
Good kill from Scar on just about half HP. Pretty much forcing Mythic into a save, in my opinion, in a few moments if they aren't able to crack open a kill. They don't have a single kit in play. 10-second defuse is going to be required, and we're already halfway ticked just about. And with Cooper falling, the Flom only able to hold down Mouse 1-on-1 angle. There's no way to look in multiple places and fire down at one time. His teammate will have no more success than he, and this is map point for the first best of one of the night between these two teams, and Might looking pretty poised and ready to take it.
And that was one of their last, like, decent fives we're going to see out of Mythic for this game, right? They're fighting for the back foot, from the back foot, for the rest of this map, guaranteed. And it's a little unfortunate because it felt like Mythic were starting to connect the dots as this game went on. It felt like when they went to that side switch, it was a different team. You saw a little more electrifying gameplay, but it's kind of just back to the same old where we started this game and it really felt like in the mid parts of that first half, it was Mythic playing Might's game. And that is almost how it's going to end. If it doesn't end here, maybe we'll say something different, but utility is a big ask of this round. And I like how conservative they've been with it. They haven't just dumped it as loosely as they have in rounds prior, but might full well know what they can do with the amount of time left. I mean, Mythic aren't really doing much to counteract that. It can be hard as a CT to take big map control-y space in the late rounds of Anubis. But here, they're just bleeding by the seconds. Freakazoid already out of utility, and it's running dry on B. They've tripled up the defense, considering how hard it's been to hold in the past couple of rounds. But the real action's about to incur in mid. With Scar, I believe Cooper. No, it is. But maybe I was dead wrong. Here's that MP9 I was waiting to see activate. And Scar wins his duel. Now just one here. Truck Lover, what have you got with the Deagle again? Just the one. And that may be all she wrote.
That could have gotten a little bit scary even still if the MP9 was able to find Scar without losing a lot of HP, and then not only that, having him gotten closer to Nifty, who had the op. Could have spelled disaster, but right now it looks like things are somewhat under control. Freakazoid and Flom, both with AK-47s, both locked out of the bomb site by smokes. And the AWP picked up by the low HP of Scar. We'll see how proficient he is with the weapon, because in a moment he will be peeked from either heaven or the backside of camera. As one holds on to A main, one is down below. Every base seems to be covered as they keep turning their attention one by one. Little by little, they get closer into this one, and the duels are made readily available to them. One bullet the difference, and Scar nothing to defuse that molly wit, and snakes into the clutch. Once again, we've seen him do it before with one Harity having full. He tucks into the corner, and who else but Flaw on the other side? He'll do it again. He mirrors the same play he'd made over in E-Box, but this time, it's over towards A.
And it looked good for Might in the end. Look, it's glad to see it. What I'm really happy to see about that is even though he wasn't the knight in shining armor for Might, he didn't end it at the top of the scoreboard. I loved how Snakes played. It wasn't anything insanely spectacular, but he did his job. And when he was called upon, he